Hi everyone, welcome to another Citizen vlog, and this is a Citizen Pass, so we're looking back at a moment in time. We're looking not too far back on the scale of things I do. Obviously, we're going back to the October 2001. So to be specific, the 13th of October 2001. Not in itself a massive game, sort of looked forward to by both sets of fans, but we're going to have a quick look at the game on the 13th of October 2001 in the Nationwide League Division 1, Manchester City versus Stockport County. So going to have a look back at that. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that all subscribe button, it'd be fantastic. Push the bell notification, all these little Citizen vlogs past and present are coming out. That'd be fantastic. If you've got any friends who's City supporters, please point them in this direction and get them to sub as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's not one of the biggest games, obviously, in City's calendar, if you like, but it did appeal to both sets of fans. I mean, after all, most City fans are from Stockport, aren't they? So as we're told, so there you go. I did actually live in Stockport. I did actually play football in Stockport for many years, in the Stockport and Cheadle Sunday League for teams there, and obviously I did actually live in Heaton Chapel for a while, which was sort of classed as Stockport, isn't it, around there? So yeah, I mean, I was in Stockport for a while, though I'm a Withington lad originally, in Prestwich and Withington, so there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it was important as well, isn't it? Because let's face it, Stockport County are sort of no longer with us, are they? They're no longer in the Football League, unfortunately. But they still have a small loyal. I think they're well supported in the National League they're in now. So they've got a good loyal supporter base. It's stuck by them, and perhaps who knows when City will play them again in the league. Anyway, who knows? Yeah. So if we look back at that day, City, as we struggled to keep our top division status, didn't we, in the late 90s and the early 2000s, it was Stockport County would become our local derby. Obviously we had things like Macclesfield, didn't we, and stuff like that coming into it as well. But obviously Stockport, it's next door, it's just as far away as going to the swamp, isn't it, Old Trafford. So that became our local derby in the late 90s and into the new millennium. Keegan was in charge, of course, and after 10 games, City sat 6, so not great. Stockport was struggling just a little bit in 24th and bottom of the table and really struggling to get going. And City, despite a midweek 6-0 slaughter of Birmingham City in the Worthington Cup, which is what the League Cup was called then, had been humiliated themselves, or ourselves, by ourselves. It's my team, it's us, isn't it? They're ourselves, in a 4-0 defeat by Wimbledon just before that at Main Road, leading Mr. Keegan in his programme notes to call City a Jekyll and Hyde team. So there we go. I never understood whether we were Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, though. I think you have to be a bit of Mr. Hyde to win things like the First Division, don't you? So that always confused me a little bit by that description. Yo-yo club, perhaps, up and down in a season. I don't know what you'd call it. Previously, we'd only met County 8 times in the league, winning 5. And losing 2 and drawing 1. One of those losses was at Main Road. I was at both these games. Main Road only 2 years previously, on the 7th of December 1999, when we had a 2-1 loss, which was quite embarrassing, obviously. We did have one League Cup win to our credit as well, and that was the first time we were in the League Cup in 1960, so we won that one 3-0 at Main Road. And before you say anything, no, I was too young. I wasn't at that one. I was born, but I certainly wasn't at that game. Away from the game, just having a quick look through the programme there. There's a special feature on the soon-to-be-complete Commonwealth Stadium, which obviously we all know now as the Etihad. Obviously, it was due to completion at the Christmas time for the 2002 Commonwealth Games, and then of course we'll be moving into it quite soon after. There's a little piece there on the building of the Superstore as well. The Superstore had begun to be built, which we're all very familiar with now. Anyway, back to the game. Almost 2,000, about 1,960 County fans made the long trip from up the A6 and it was City's biggest crowd, actually. We had our average was about 32.5, I think, at the time, but it was our biggest crowd, and it was more or less capacity with 34,214. But surely, rock bottom county wouldn't cause even Jekyll and Hyde City any problems, who was sitting 6th at the time. As I said, the teams that day: City, Weaver, Vikings, Pearce, Howitt, Dunn, Etuhu, Benabia, Teatto, Granville, Gota, Huckabee. Our subs were Sean Wright Phillips, Horlock, Matomo, Nash and Berkovic. Nash, of course, had actually played in the last time that 2-1 win for Stockport at Main Road that I mentioned in 1999. He was a Stockport goalkeeper, but it wasn't to get a game this day. It was obviously Nicky Weaver in net. Stockport, I've not familiar names to me. Arp Hexard, Gibb, Sanford, Flynn, Van Blurk, Sneaks, Helen, Fradin, Hurst, Cookie, Wilbraham, and their subs: Smith, Woodthorpe, Taylor, Clare and Jones. A sprinkling of international talent I noticed in that team. Yeah, on to the game. Didn't quite go as planned. Paul Hinds reporting for the MEN. I'll just take segments of his little match report that he did for the Manchester Evening News. Is obviously his title. What is it about the Hatters that drives Manchester City so mad? Yeah, Hatters, of course, is Stockport's nickname. It could be Stockport's irritating habit. This is from Mr. Paul Hinds. Habit of nicking points, or the implausibility of a team costing even our journalists are doing it. A team costing 250,000, less than 10 weeks' wages for one or two blue stars, matching its rich neighbour. But either way, counties sure know how to get up the Main Road noses. They did it again on Saturday, when few could deny that they deserved their point from a game that was virtually so. It was a draw, virtually devoid of any semblance of technical craft or guile, but delivered great hope to journeymen everywhere. A real case of all spit and no polish. Kilner, Stockport manager, had seen the Blues in full flow in midweek when they scored 6 without reply against Birmingham. But rather than go into his shell, he set about forming a game plan to stifle and preoccupy Kevin Keegan's men, and he ought to be applauded that it works so well. City fans, meanwhile, us, have every right to question why a side that cost the best part of £13 million, £13 million, to put together twice had to come from behind to share the spoils, and could never quite adapt quickly or cleverly enough to subdue resolute but limited opponents. One of the main stumbling blocks to the Blues snatching all 3 points was the former county skipper Mike Flynn. He had a stormer that night, hadn't he? Not even the swashbuckling Errol of that clan could have fought a more gallant fight than the trusty warrior who at times seemed to fend off the City with his attacks single-handedly. County, others' great weapon of the day, was referee David Pugh. Yeah, the refs didn't like us then either. The officiating for both sides was dreadful, but the biggest blunder of all went against City when a flag-waving linesman decided the ball had gone out of play before Huckabee expertly curled it into the net from the byline. The scorer and Sean Gota were apoplectic in their rage, and their case was swiftly proved by television evidence. Just why the linesman made his decision is anyone's guess. It was the biggest talking point of a drab first half in which neither goalkeeper was asked to make a save worthy of the name. Indeed, both had pulled the ball out the net before they had broken sweat. Nick Weaver's turn came in the 47th minute following a neat and precise 4-man counter move down the left. Utopia for the travelling fans, nearly 2,000, lasted a mere 60 seconds or so, during which time Richard Dunn arrowed in a low cross from the right for Ali Benabia to ease the ball past the Stockport goalkeeper. Benabia had a troubled day, never quite finding the position, touch or momentum to shake off the attentive Frenchman Fradin. The Blues peppered the county goal, we've heard this before, haven't we, for much of the second half and looked the more likely side to win, but then fell behind to a sucker punch, nothing changes, in the 66th minute when first substitute Lucien Matomo made an error on the halfway line, and then Danny Teatto compounded it by shoving over Hurst. Kookie converted the penalty amidst more delirium in the county ranks. Thereafter, it all got a bit nasty, both on the pitch and on the bench. I'm going to say off the pitch then, but I don't remember any trouble. Nasty both on the pitch and the bench, with Keegan and Jason Van Blurk each spoken in for some silliness close to the touchline. Not very happy, Mr. Keegan. Not like him to put his heart on his sleeve, was it? Teatto, Berkovic and Huckabee all went close as they clocked it down, but it was old trusty himself, Sean Gota, who pulled the rabbit out of the shrinking hat. Hattersea, he always gets these puns in, Mr. Hinds, with 8 minutes to go. Chiato's ball from the left was knocked across goal by Sean Wright-Phillips, and the Bermudan helped himself to his 14th goal of the season. Mr. Pugh made himself more unpopular with those in laser blue, of course, don't forget it was laser blue then, not sky blue, by allowing only 4 minutes of injury time, all taken up with players rolling about on the floor. I assume that was the Stockport players. In the end, it was a point well made by County, but left more questions to be asked and answered by Keegan. Yeah, so there you go. That's October, 13th of October, 2001. A well-fought point for Stockport. Indeed, by the time the table-topping City at the time visited Edgeley Park for the rematch, County were already relegated. That was the following April, and yet they pulled off a 2-1 win over City at Edgeley Park, even though we were sitting comfortably at the top and they were struggling at the bottom, many points behind a team above them at the time. There was nothing more truthful in the County fans' song of "Can we play you every week?" They certainly wouldn't have been so far behind in the league if they'd had that opportunity to play City every week, taking 4 points off the champions that season, the nationwide First Division champions. Yeah, I mean, sadly for County, we know, don't we? We lost their league status in the 2010-11 season. And things did get worse. They actually got relegated out of the National League at one stage, but actually came back as champions the season before last. So, as at this now defunct 2019-20 season, they were sat about 8th, I think, in the National League. So there's still a possibility that they can get back into the Football League, which will be tremendous. But will we ever meet in the league again? Who can say? When you never say never, can you? I mean, obviously things as they stand, you think it may be a long way off, if at all. It'd be perhaps a minor miracle. But if you think about it, 10 league games, I mean, ignore the League Cup win for City in 1916, 10 league games between the two sides. City have won 5, we've drawn 2, and County have won 3, so that's not too bad, is it? I'm sure County won't be too perturbed about playing their illustrious neighbours if we do actually happen to meet any time in the future, certainly in the league anyway, and in the Cup. Of course they won't have any worries whatsoever. So that's Manchester City versus Stockport County, the 13th of October 2001. Not the biggest, most important game, but it's interesting, isn't it, with the how both clubs have gone since that date, if you think about it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Stockport will come back, and as I say, they do have it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I played in the Stockport and Cheadle League, and there were mainly City and United fans in the team, but we had a couple of the Stockport lads, and they're always a bit similar to City fans to me. They sort of followed the team everywhere. They were quite loyal. And they went to the games. I mean, obviously, as I say, I think all the United fans in my football team, I don't think any of them went to the matches. But and the City fans in our team did. So that was sort of par for the course. And I always thought County were a little bit the same. But I don't think there's a lot of love lost. I certainly don't think those County fans like City particularly, which is a shame, because I know a lot of City fans used to go and watch County as well. But there was no love lost when we had the matches, was there? So there you go. Anyway, thanks for sharing this little moment in time for me, and I'm sure hopefully we will be playing Stockport again one day, and hopefully we'll be able to win this time rather than the last couple of times, obviously, when it embarrassed us a little bit. Even though we did win the league, that was a little bit of a feather in their cap, wasn't it? Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Please check my little links, and if my little day job, if you're interested in movies and TV, etc., do vlogs on that as well. And my little website I've got for moviegamenostalgia.com for old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 90s and 2000s, some board games on there as well. So if you can have a look on there, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, until we meet again on another Citizen past or present, please, all I can say is please look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family. Let's all look after each other. And please stay safe, Blues. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.